What is the Bill and Jason Show?
This is a new departure in language instruction for English-speaking people who want to talk to and be understood by jazz musicians, hipsters, beatniks, juvenile delinquents, and the criminal fringe.
Oh, sorry, I thought I answered that question already.
It's not ostentatious. It's not big, showy.
Shut up.
What kind of gear can you find at Circuit City?
You can get gear at Circuit City.
Sweet.
What do you have to say today, Ninny?
I can't raise my rates.
Then you get ready for endless fun anytime and anywhere.
This is all true.
I disagree.
Well, it depends on your vision.
Still.
Just small neon.
If they just did everything I told them, it'd be a fun party.
In fact, shut up. my stories are on.
Until the tip is dull and dangerous.
What? What's wrong with my singing?
Okay, I'm going to give you $10 if you stop.
These are the choices America has now.
The Bill and Jason Show. Downloaded Fridays on DJA Radio. Wow, what a cool memory, man.
Do you remember when we were entertaining?
When we were funny.
Remember that?
When people actually listened to
No podcasts.
Wow, that was the coolest thing. That was DJA Radio.
Yeah.
We started that with Mark. Well, Mark Farrell
Mark
started
Farrell
that.
started
it. To be a small part of it, helping to program and do our own little Bill and Jason show. And that's kind of where our show began, wasn't it?
It is. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what the genesis of the Bill and Jason show was way back in like 2006.
Right.
Which is like, oh man, lots of years ago. It's really, really crazy.
We had the least amount of listeners, and we're the only show that's still going.
What does that tell you?
I don't know.
Let's not go there. This is the Bill and Jason Show Holiday Memories Edition.
Hey, I'm Bill Hermann. That's Jason Jones.
Tonight we
Can't
feature...
tell because we have the same kind of hats.
That's right. He's Bad Santa, and I am Alien Abducted Santa.
What in the world?
See?
Oh, well, isn't that Jack Skellington?
No, I think that's
from
Mouse 5 right there. Or Dead Mouse, actually. There's no 5 in there.
No, it's Dead Mouse 5. Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to our holiday memories. It was part of DJNTV weekly special, which is sharing memories of Mobile Beat past.
Right. And
shows that have gone by in the past, because this is a really this is a capstone year coming up for 2015 for the show, and
absolutely
it's going to be really, really different after this. Well, this show is really, really different, and then it's going to be really, really different after this.
Well, and that thing we just shared, our show starting with DJA Radio, one of the years that I think it was in Cleveland,
Connecticut.
Okay, sorry, in Connecticut. My apologies. In Connecticut, we did our first live broadcast of DJA Radio, and it was the Bill and Jason Show with Mark Farrell,
right
there from that show.
Yeah, it was. It was really, really fun. That's when we introduced DJA Radio to the world. We had a really great teaser campaign, and then at the Connecticut Summer Show, we had a booth. That picture that you saw at the beginning of the show was actually from our booth, where we taped a show live there. That's really fun. You know, it would be fun if we did something like that at Mobile Beat this year. Wouldn't that be fun?
Can we?
I don't know.
Can we tape one of our shows at Mobile Beat?
As far as I know, we can do whatever we want. Until somebody tells us otherwise.
Okay, so I think we should consider that. We should give that some thought and be at the Mobile Beat show.
We'll think about that. But those are stories of Mobile Beat future. Right. Where we're interested in is in the past.
Yes.
Mobile Beat past. And I remember you actually invited me to come to Mobile Beat shows like for several years until I finally went like, okay,
well,
fine, I'll go.
Well, because my experiences began at the 1997 show, which I think might be one of the first, if not the first, Mobile Beat Vegas show was 97. I could be completely wrong, but that was at least
We're not
my first
CNN.
experience.
No one fact checks this show.
My first experience, at least, was 97. And the reason I went is because I'd heard about this magazine. And I got this magazine. Oh, look, I can write it off. So I got a magazine. Okay, I had honestly, I hadn't even heard of DJ Times. I had heard of Mobile Beat through somebody, and then with my wife, who was a hairdresser, who was making way more money than me at the time, I said, "Well, I got a business too. In fact, we could even write a trip off
to Las Vegas.
Yeah, let's go to Las Vegas." And she went, "Well, yeah, that's a good idea." So we went to Las Vegas to go to this conference in 1997. And I think the keynote speaker was Doug Cox. I remember that. But what I remember mostly is that I had this experience of, oh my, there's a bunch of people here who find what I do way more interesting than my wife does. And they all were in the same boat as me.
They actually get it. Like after sharing something really exciting that happened at an event, the response is, "That's really cool." And then what? Instead of, "That's nice, honey. What's for dinner?"
Right. And I was able to see a bunch of people sharing really cool ideas and things that I'd never thought of or ever heard of. And so I was able to take that home to work on that sort of thing. And then from that, I went to the next one, which I believe was Bob Popick on 1998. And then 1999... 98, I think, is when I'd heard of this Mark Farrell guy who was in a getting your price conversation happening at Mobile Beat. And then 99, he had his own talk.
Yeah. Because he was on a panel, and everybody's like, What? You're doing what? Say that again.
Right.
You charging what? No, say that again. You're charging what? No, say that again. I think there was a lot of that, wasn't there? I wasn't there, but
from what I understand, it's pretty much all of his questions were really.
Really? But what are you really charging?
What are you really charging? There's got to be a trick. There's got to be a trick to this.
Right.
So they asked him to come and speak in 99, and I had gone to each year, and each year I went thinking I'm going to come up with some new ideas. I'm going to meet some cool new people, and you always get re-inspired, and that's one of the cool things for me was I was always re-inspired every year by all these guys that were like willing to be my friend and tell me about stuff that people in my own market were hiding from me. They were hiding ideas, and because you take my idea and that whole culture of I'm afraid to share because you're going to steal my ideas and thus my customer base or whatever that thing is. And it was real. It was real for many of us. And then in 1999, I went by myself without my wife, and still feeling really.
That's what inspired the movie The Hangover,
right? And I ended up on the roof of the Caesar's Palace. It was awesome, and it was a really big show. There were a lot of people at this show. 1999, and the idea that it was going to turn over next year, 2000.
Yeah,
and so I'm there, and Mark Farrell's there again, and they'd been talking about him from last year. So I went, and this room was literally a sea of people. More people in one speaker's thing that I'd seen yet.
Wow.
So I walk in and I want to be closer, but I'm not. I'm really kind of almost dead center in the room. And it's weird for me because I like to be on the edges, but I'm like dead center. He's up there. I've got to be 15, 20 rows back. Next to people that I feel kind of weird sitting next to because I don't know them very well. And so I'm still kind of hiding out, because I'm nervous about who I am and whether or not I should be sharing my own stuff because, who am I, right? I got all these people around must be really much better than me. So I sat there in that conference, and when Mark Farrell took the stage in about, 30 seconds in, I could feel a shift in who I was for my family, who I was for myself, who I was for an industry, and everything literally shifted for me that day. And ever since, he's been a close friend and a mentor and one of those people that has that effect on you anytime, if you ever take the chance to get to know him, much less go see him speak. But that was a transformative speech for many people. It wasn't just for me, but I will speak to that moment. It felt like I was the only person in the room. It was almost like, two lovers across the room, kind of like I was literally, I got it. And it changed everything for me. Everything.
I want to play the romantic music.
You really, should, because we locked eyes, and then later when I found him in an embrace, he and I held each other close.
And then cut and fast forward.
Cut and fast forward. The crazy part about it is I was able to stay in that inspiration of being able to make a living, even after I'd left, and I went to an agent who had been handling me, for my $550 to $600 a show.
Yeah.
And I walked into his office and I said, okay, so I don't charge that anymore. I charge, $1,200-$1,300. So continue to handle me. I love this. I don't have to do the work. But this is how much I make now. And he went, well, no, I could never sell you for that.
No one will buy that. No one will pay that.
And I went, well, yeah, they will, because I just booked a couple of my own. The last two that called me. And I told him, and they said yes. So I know I can get it. So you can get it, and your percentage is going to be bigger. So hey,
You'll
price
make more
is
money.
$1,200. And he said, no,
wow.
There's no way in the world I can do that. So I ended up saying, okay, well, and then I guess our contract is terminated. Let's just sign up an agreement. We're not going to do it anymore. So we stopped. And within a month later, I was at 15, and then 18, and 2,000 within less than a year. and he was still, telling me it couldn't be done.
Well, you were also at the time, which we hadn't met yet at that point, but you had gotten Mark Farrell's Getting What You're Worth tapes so that you could like keep reminding yourself when you're like, am I crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Having those moments like, whatever made me think I could, which, you always, anytime you're pushing pushing what's possible or what there's agreement for, you're going to be having those like, those moments of doubt, and he was there with you. On the audio cassette.
On the audio, I still have those cassettes,
saying,
and then I
Bill.
Now they're the DVDs, but DVDs, CDs. No,
right.
But yeah, I just found the cassette the other day. I literally still have the cassette.
That's why you're keeping that Walkman around.
That's really why I do. It's really cool.
When I start walking, I'm going to wear this thing.
That was the most transformative experience of Mobile Beat for me, and because of that, I shifted the way I look at that conference every year. I was going every year to see new ideas, to go to they had an evening. They used to have an evening there where you'd go and everybody would show off all their new bits,
Oh yeah, right. Shtick night.
Well, Shtick night is what, when Map DJ, when we started Map DJ,
okay.
we did our own version of that and we called it Shtick night, but they called it like All Stars. I think.
Okay.
The DJ All Stars. Yeah, and then everybody would come with a new idea and they would share it in front of the crowd, and whether it would be a dance routine or whether it be a game or whatever. So it was really awesome. But that was what everybody looked forward to. At least what I looked forward to. And then after seeing Mark and that inspiration, that transformative inspiration, now I come back to Mobile Beat every year to recreate that feeling. Because that's where I realize that we're all doing the same bits. There's no one doing anything really new under the sun. It's all the same thing. It's really in how you do it and how you're inspired by your clients or by yourself or by your colleagues or just, in that. So now when I go to these shows, it doesn't matter. I don't go because I hear there's going to be a great speaker. There's always great speakers that inspire me. I go because I know within the speakers and the hallways and the showroom and the gathering of my brethren, I'm going to be inspired. And I haven't missed one since 1997, and I'm not gonna.
Well, it's truly like a reunion, like as I recall back, like my first Mark Farrell experience wasn't at a Mobile Beat show. That was actually at a MAP DJ, Midwest Association of Professional DJs conference. I had just actually got married myself. The membership director did my wedding, Sarge, had done my wedding, did a great job. And he's like, you should check this out. And I'm like, Association for DJs? What? Well, I better go check this out.
Right.
So I checked it out. I saw you for the first time. I'm like, this guy's impressive. Look at this guy. Wow, this is great. And then I heard Mark speak, and I go home and I'm like, honey, I'm raising my rates. Are you kidding? I've been giving it away all these years. And I had thought I was doing really well because like the last time I was like, I had a little gap in between I was DJing when I started up again from North Dakota to the Twin Cities. I'm like, do you realize they're getting $650 here to do a show? Because in North Dakota, I got like $350, and that was after a rate hike after doing it for 10 years. And so I'm like, I'm going to be more than broccoli. You'll see. And I, went through like I probably would anybody who like took on like I'm going to like this is worth more. I'm going to push it. And see how far I can take it. And then what was great about that is that I got to meet you like right after that. I'm like, I got to be friends with this guy. This guy's really awesome. And so we stood in the parking lot and it's like, your wife's a Potter, my wife's a Potter. You
worked in radio, I worked in radio.
You worked in this, so did I. Gosh, well, we're all cut up. See ya. And so we became great friends. And then you were like, every year, you're like, are you coming with me this year? You got to come with me. And I'm like, oh, and it was always one thing or another. Like, I know money this year. Oh, I can. And finally, I'm like, okay, yes, I'm going to go.
Right.
And that was the year that it was at the South Point.
Oh yeah, the Mobile Beat Conference,
which is like a big anomaly. Like it was just kind of like one kind of outlier year where they did it in this casino that was like way out in the desert.
Right. Well, it wasn't way out, but it wasn't on the strip either.
No,
it felt like anything that's
when
not
you
right
drove
on the strip.
into the strip, it was like because I remember driving like going from the airport. It's like wow, it's bright lights, Las Vegas, and then cricket, darkness,
South Point,
darkness, South Point,
right.
And then you go, and it's like where are we? Is that those coyotes? And But it was really cool, and it was cool on a lot of levels. And I don't know if one of the coolest things was, by this time you were pretty involved in leadership in the industry, and you had really stepped up, and you joined the movement with Mark to bring more value. And we're talking to more DJs. I mean, you were like, let's push this forward together. And
that's how Mac
you were
DJ
right.
began,
You were actively working in the association back here. I mean, you were really into it, and you had you were very well established. You knew a lot of people. A lot of people knew you. So I felt like I just got to walk in the Bill Herman sunshine for a whole week. It's like, hey, I'm with him. I'm Bill Herman's friend. Who am I, you ask? I'm Bill Herman's friend. That's like I got a T-shirt made, Bill Herman's friend, a little finger pointing. I'm with him, and it was great because you introduced me to all these people. I have memories of going down to the South Point Lounge and seeing like the Mobile DJ band get up, and Don Larson gets up there, and gosh, I'm trying to remember who else. Brian Harris, was he up there playing as well?
Plays drums.
And I if I leave people's names out, I'm sorry. It was a long time.
I think was part of that.
Yeah, I think he was, and they were jamming away, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. Right. Look at all these talented people. Well, they'll find out how not talented I am. and so because that was the best thing to happen to me from the first conference is I realized I'm not very good at this. Like there's so much more that I can grow and be, and I can be so much more than how I was showing up, which is a big blessing. You'd think it would be a downer. What else? Oh, I remember having a sit-down conversation, you and I, and this guy from Hawaii, David Lewis. David, yeah. Sat down by one of the little one-arm
there was like a little lounge and a bunch of couches, and we all just sat around.
We sat up, and it was like, and you were like, hey, you knew Dave. You're like, hey, Dave, how's it going? I'm like, wow, DJ from Hawaii. I'm like feeling international.
DJs in Hawaii?
Even though
feeling international.
Well, even though Hawaii is a state, it is far away, right? It's out in the middle ocean, and I haven't been there. And I'm like, gosh, if I know someone in Hawaii.
He speaks English.
He does. I could understand everything. And it's, are you sure you're speaking Hawaiian? Anyway, he was telling about like all these plans that he had, and like what he was up to. And this is what, 7 years ago, right?
Yeah, at least
7 years ago. And I was so inspired by how enthusiastic he was and how confident he was in what he was up to. And the beautiful thing is, like, now I'm still friends with David Lewis, and now I've seen he's accomplished everything he said he was going to do, and more with what he's created and the way he's acted on his ideas, and really like gotten value and built an incredible business and done just amazing things. And it's and that's probably like what it really, like you were saying, like the speakers were great, but what I remember the most, I think, are the dinners, the conversations, the deviating from the South Point. Remember that one year that we all went over to the Peppercorn, which is this
cool restaurant,
cool lounge. They have a bar lounge and a restaurant, and we were in the lounge. And
next to the Riviera.
What's so cool about it? I would like to replicate this in my basement, by the way, just for the record.
Yeah, if you haven't been to the Peppercorn, first of all, I found out the other day that there were scenes from the movie Casino that were filmed in the lounge that Jason is talking about.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so you could be like, hey, this is my own casino part.
Me and Sharon Stone.
That was a great scene. But if you've never been in there, please go in. It's like right next to the Riviera, and bring some friends. The
lounge, though. The restaurant's good. The food is great, but there's this lounge.
Yes. So you got to take off your hat because no gangstas allowed, and well, they do. They make me take my hat off.
I don't care what they say.
But they have these sunken circular couch with a fireplace, or sometimes with a little coffee table in the middle, and so it's perfect for conversation. So,
and the fireplace is actually fire and water because they put this water into it, and then they put these gas-powered
bubble up
thing,
flames.
And so the flames actually are coming out of the water. It's mirrors and blues and reds and right out of the 60s and 70s.
Oh, right.
Crazy.
It's kind of like fracking, only just a little bit more like generated and created. Anyway, so we all sat on a circle, and I remember it was there was just recently a picture posted that Mike Anderson had put up. So Mike Anderson, his wife Heather, and then there was you and I were there, and then Matt was there.
Mitchell,
Matt Mitchell was there. And there was Nick Krause, and his wife was there. And it was just, and we sat and we told stories. We just went around and we told stories and we laughed, and all of us had the best time. And it's like, it's that connection. And those are the moments that I got the most, between the ideas and the notes that I took at all the seminars, and then like discussing it with other DJs and other performers and getting ideas from them. And one of the awesome things is like seeing the people, really impressive people that show up there, and like really like learning from them and going like, what can I, what ideas does that give me, or where can I go, or what's possible with me? Not like, who do they think they are, but rather like, ooh, I want some of that. I want to create some of that.
Well, and you're in a colleague type situation. It isn't, now the playing field gets leveled there. At least it was for me. It wasn't that, at least at a certain point, at first, I felt like I was here and they were all up here. And then when the playing field starts to get leveled is when you start spending time with them outside of the seminars, with with your friends and now they become friends, they become colleagues, they become people you have a lunch with, or they have people that you went to the piano. Remember the piano bar parties that happened over at New York, where all of us went over and took over that piano
took
bar
over the whole bar,
and just got stupid and sang a bunch of silly songs.
Yeah, and you'd sing Mustang Sally and Bring the House Down.
Every year, man. The first year it happened, because it happens around once again, bringing up Mark, but Mark Farrell's wife, Rebecca, her birthday happens every year around that time.
Yep, it sure does.
One year they all knew that I could sing this song, so a bunch of people put a bunch of money together in a pot and bribed the piano player to bring me up and make me sing.
Which is easy to do. Their whole income is predicated on bribes.
Right, with enough money, you can get him to do anything. So I went up and I sang Mustang Sally, and now ever since then, every time we go to New York, it happens the same exact way. It's almost like they recognize us coming in, because they know everybody's going to, then they wait till we're really drunk enough that we're actually putting 20s in instead of 5s.
Right.
They make a lot of money. And then once again, another experience of being colleagues.
Yes.
And putting yourself in a peer place as opposed to above or below, which is where it's the most powerful connection becomes. And another reason why you want to go every year, because these people, you've shared something that is personal, not just the parties, but time with each other.
Yeah.
I remember one year from that party, a couple of disc jockey friends of mine from Wisconsin, who's well, I won't say their names because they showed up there, and with sunglasses and dark suits, and their 2 girlfriends, and they grabbed me from the piano bar and pulled me out. I literally didn't speak to me, just pulled me out.
Wow.
Come on, Bill, come along. And really serious. Come along. So we pulled, and I'm like, I got a couple drinks in me, so I'm like, okay, but I know them. It's not like I'm being abducted by people I don't know.
Right.
But honestly, what they did was abduct me.
Well, they're the ones to worry about, right?
Really? People you know?
Well, people you know are the most dangerous.
They pulled me into a limo. And we start going to bars in Vegas. And what they decided to do was to treat me like they were my personal security and the girls were my dates.
Like, who's this guy?
So they'd show up and they'd both get out of there. They'd be talking into their sleeves and looking into their, and they open the door and they'd look around and they escort me and the girls to the door, and they'd pay the doorman, and we'd come in and we'd sit in VIP.
Nice.
And they said, all you got to do, Bill, is not say a word. We're fine.
And look cool.
Well, the last place we ended up was a bottle service bar. I think it was the Tao, actually.
Oh my gosh.
And we are in the VIP section. They are paying for everything. They've got several bottles of liquor. They've got girls. The bottle service girls are hanging only on. I mean, other people are mad because they're all over by us. Okay? And they're taking pictures and they're having a good time.
Like,
and
I don't know. They must be famous.
At the end of it, one of them, he hands me a fistful of money and he says, okay, I told her that you're this big money guy. And so that's why everybody's around here. And at the end of it, you need to tip them. So here's the money for the tip. He literally gave me a wad of money like this.
Wow.
Okay? So at the end of it, I'm trying to be cool, but I'm still kind of, what is going on? So it's like, here you go. I should have been, yeah, baby, here you go.
Right.
No, here you go. So she's excited. They're excited. Before we leave, they take a big picture of me and all of these bottle service girls. And it goes to Facebook. And I get a call from my wife that night.
What's going on?
Who are these women? What are you doing? It took a week of me explaining and her calling my friends who had done this for her to understand that this was a big gag. But once again, that's just one of many experiences. Just being a part of a community and colleagues at a conference, and the only conference that, I mean, I've been to a lot of conferences, but this one is the only one I go to every single year. It's really awesome.
We got to wrap up, but I have to tell you, I have to really commend you that you've been really consistent with that story over the years.
What do you mean?
It's not changed. You haven't changed it. You know, when you make up a story, you tend to forget exactly how
do you change that and make it better?
How it was or whatever, you know? And so it's like, I could see why your wife still believes it.
Oh my God. Right into the camera you did that? Oh.
Hey, thanks for tuning into the Bill and Jason Show. Happy holidays from our family to your family. Thanks for watching the show and spending some good time. Leave some memories down below.
It's because of you. It's because you listen, it's because you watch, it's because you tell people about it. Thank you. And
so ho long.
Merry holidays.
Broadcasting from high atop planet Earth at a rate of 96 kilobytes sample per second over the interweb. In an effort to stop glorifying being busy, this has been an entertainment experience production.